They say home is where the heart is. But what happens when your home becomes a battleground? Over something as simple as a cardboard box? I never thought picking up a package from my own front porch would lead to a police car, a furious neighbor, and accusations that made my blood boil. But that's exactly what happened when Karen, yes, a full-blown HOA Karen, decided I had committed the unthinkable crime of stealing from myself. Yeah, you heard that right. Buckle up, because this ride starts off petty and ends in full-blown madness. It all started on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. I had just wrapped up a long day of remote work, mind you, sitting in front of my laptop for hours, trying to meet deadlines while juggling back-to-back Zoom meetings. The kind of day where your brain feels like mashed potatoes by 5 p.m. I finally shut my laptop, stretched out my back, and decided to step outside to grab the package I got a delivery notification for. It was something I'd been looking forward to for weeks, a custom steering wheel cover I ordered for my vintage Mustang project. Not a big deal to anyone else, but to me. It was like Christmas in August. I stepped out onto the porch, and there it was. Brown box, Amazon tape still intact. I bent down, scooped it up, and turned to go back inside. That's when I heard the voice. "Excuse me. What do you think you're doing?" I turned around slowly, package still in hand, confused as hell. And there she was, Karen. Not her real name, obviously, but if you've ever dealt with one, you know the type. Mid-50s, permanent scowl, hair like it's been shellacked into place. She stood across the street with her arms crossed like she was ready to deliver a verdict. I blinked. I live here? You live there? Since when?" She snapped. "Since 5 years ago?" I said, sarcastically, but I was honestly still trying to figure out if she was joking. She wasn't. She stormed across the street like she was marching into battle. "That package doesn't belong to you. I saw you take it. I've already called the HOA and the police." I actually laughed. I thought it was a misunderstanding. Maybe she thought I was a delivery guy or confused me for a renter. But nope, Karen was dead serious. She was waving her phone like she had just made the call to 911 and was waiting for the cavalry to show up. "You called the cops on me for picking up a package from my own porch?" I asked, still not believing this was real life. "You're stealing," she yelled. "That's not your property. I know everyone who lives here, and I've never seen you before. Now let me be clear, I don't keep to myself that much. I've waved at neighbors, gone to a couple HOA meetings, big mistake, and even helped clear snow from the sidewalks last winter. But Karen, she was the new one. Moved in about 3 months ago. And she had already become the self-appointed queen of the cul-de-sac. I held up the box. "My name is literally on this. Want me to open it right now?" "That's tampering with evidence," she hissed, and I swear, I almost dropped the box from laughing. "The police will decide what's what." I stepped inside, placed the package on my dining table, and thinking this ridiculousness would die down, went to the kitchen to pour myself a drink. But 10 minutes later, flashing lights outside. Yep, she actually did it. I opened the door to find 2 officers standing on my lawn and Karen off to the side, arms folded like she was watching Judge Judy and waiting for the guilty verdict. "Sir," one of the officers said, "we received a report of a possible package theft." "You have got to be kidding me," I muttered. "Do you mind stepping outside to answer a few questions?" Karen had the audacity to wave at me like she was the hero in this story. I walked out calmly, hands clearly visible, and stood next to the cops. "This is my house," I said. "That's my package. My name is on it, and I can show you ID to prove I live here." The cop raised an eyebrow. "Can you do that?" "Oh, absolutely," I said, walking back inside and grabbing my wallet and the box. I handed over my driver's license and pointed to the shipping label. Same name, same address. The second cop scanned the details, then looked over at Karen. "Ma'am, it appears this is indeed his package and residence. Karen's jaw dropped. Like someone had pulled the rug out from under her. That can't be right, she stammered. I've lived here 3 months and I've never seen him. The first cop's tone got firmer. Ma'am, knowing your neighbors is not grounds for a theft accusation. If you have a problem, contact the HOA, but this is not a criminal matter. I thought that would end it. But oh no, Karen doubled down. I am the HOA, I'm on the board, and there it was. The magic phrase. Like a villain revealing her master plan. She didn't just call the cops for fun, this was her power play. She thought she could intimidate me into, what, not living in my own home? The officers told her she had no legal grounds to interfere with my property and warned her about filing false reports. But Karen? She just muttered something about keeping the neighborhood safe and walked off like she was the victim. I stood there, stunned. Part of me wanted to let it go, but something about it gnawed at me. She needed to be put in her place, not with violence, not even with anger, but with something she'd never see coming. Accountability. That night, I sent an email to the HOA. I laid everything out: her false accusations, misuse of emergency services, and complete lack of professionalism. I attached the Ring camera footage too. Yep, I had the whole thing recorded. The next morning, I got a reply from the HOA president. Turns out Karen was not on the board. She was just a volunteer for the welcome committee. And that welcome? It just got revoked. They told me a disciplinary hearing would be held. And oh, I planned to attend. With popcorn, but I wasn't done yet. If Karen wanted to play games, I had a few moves of my own. You ever walk into a room knowing you're about to turn the tables so hard, they flip over completely? That was me walking into the HOA hearing. 3 days after Kareen called the cops on me for stealing my own package, I stood outside the local community center, freshly shaved, files in hand, and one objective in mind: finish this. I wasn't looking for drama, I never am. But when someone like Karen tries to weaponize power, waste law enforcement's time, and humiliate a neighbor just to feed her ego, yeah, she deserves consequences. Inside, the HOA board had gathered 5 members seated behind a folding table, like they were about to judge a spelling bee. Corinne sat off to the side with her arms crossed and her lips pursed, so tight you'd think she was chewing lemons. They invited me to speak first. I thanked them, pulled out my laptop, and calmly played the Ring camera footage. There it was, clear as day. Me stepping out, picking up my package, her storming over like she owned the zip code, accusing me of theft, calling the cops. All of it, no yelling from my side, no threats. Just confusion and a whole lot of patience. One of the board members looked up at her mid-video and raised an eyebrow. Karen avoided eye contact. When it ended, I said, "Look, I'm not here to sue anybody. I'm not demanding anything extreme. I just want it noted that this behavior crossed a serious line. False accusations, harassment, and misuse of HOA authority? That's not neighborly. That's dangerous." The room was quiet for a beat. Then one of the board members leaned forward and said, "Mr. Taylor, thank you. We've actually received a few other complaints recently about Mrs. Jenkins, Karen overstepping her role." I couldn't help but glance over at her. Her face was turning a shade of red I'm pretty sure isn't found in nature. Karen launched into defense mode. "I was just trying to protect the neighborhood," she barked. "If someone sees a suspicious person taking the package, we're supposed to call it in. I didn't know he lived there." The board member replied, "That's understandable if this were a first-time mistake. But you didn't just call it in. You insisted he didn't live at his own home, interfered with a delivery, called the police without verifying anything, and now it appears you misrepresented yourself as a board member." Karen snapped, "I am the welcome committee." Another member interjected, "That's not the same as being on the board, and it doesn't give you authority to police neighbors." Karen started stammering, But I thought, we Think you need to step down from any volunteer position for the time being, the president said, calmly but firmly. And you'll be required to attend a conflict resolution workshop if you want to remain a resident in good standing. Karen blinked like she'd just been slapped by karma. I'm the victim here, she cried out. A woman behind me snorted. Turns out I wasn't the only one who showed up. A few other neighbors had come too, and judging by their smirks, they had stories of their own. The meeting ended with Corrine practically storming out, muttering about legal action and ungrateful newcomers. I stuck around for a few minutes, chatting with the board members and some neighbors. And that's when the real story started coming out. One guy told me Karen had reported his teenage son for loitering in their own driveway while he was washing the car. Another woman said Karen left anonymous notes on her door about the color of her curtains not matching the HOA aesthetic. Curtains inside the house. And someone else? She claimed Karen had even tried to claim someone's dog barked too much and tried to have them fined. No one even owns a dog on that side of the block. This wasn't a one-time thing. Karen was on a power trip, and she'd been getting away with it for months. Maybe even longer. As the sun set that day, I walked back to my house feeling like justice had finally been served. But oh, it didn't stop there. Over the next week, Karen kept a low profile. No confrontations, no snide remarks, not even her usual walk around the block with her clipboard. Yep, clipboard. Like she was inspecting the neighborhood like it was a military base. But then came the twist I wasn't expecting. I got home one afternoon to find an envelope taped to my door. No postage. Just my name, written in all caps with a shaky hand. I opened it inside, half expecting a passive-aggressive letter. Instead, it was an apology. It read, I may have been a bit overzealous. I didn't recognize you, and I thought I was doing what was best. I understand now that I crossed a line. I hope we can move past this. Karen, no, I'm sorry. No admission of calling the cops for no reason, just overzealous. Still, it was a start. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Her actions already spoke volumes, and so did the neighborhood. People stopped being afraid of her. One guy finally painted his front door the color he wanted. A couple down the street started parking their RV in their own driveway again, without fear of fines. And the best part? Karen never got back her volunteer title. The HOA quietly banned her from holding any future positions related to enforcement or neighborhood oversight. Instead, she was encouraged to focus on community building activities. You know, bake sales, gardening clubs. Things that don't involve calling the cops on neighbors for breathing wrong. Weeks went by. The drama faded. And I finally got to install that custom steering wheel cover on my Mustang. No flashing lights, no accusations, just me, some classic rock playing in the garage, and peace. Funny how a simple cardboard box unraveled the queen of the cul-de-sac. But maybe that's the lesson. Bullies don't always wear leather jackets and ride motorcycles. Sometimes they wear gardening gloves and run the welcome committee. All it takes to stop them? A camera, a little patience, and standing your ground, because sometimes the real theft isn't the package on your porch. It's your right to feel at home in your own neighborhood. And trust me, I'm never letting anyone steal that from me again.